What's up, everybody? Old Man Winter 8. And have you ever checked out the Melin hats and wondered why they cost what they cost? Well, if you're not familiar, Melin is a company that makes a high-end baseball hat, and they usually go for about $80 to $100 depending on the model, but they really have redesigned the baseball hat from the ground up. I'm a person that loves to use the phrase, if you spend more, you get more, and on the Melin hats, it is 100% the truth. When you look at a lot of the standard baseball hats from any company, and even when you're starting to look into some of maybe those $50 hats that come from your favorite sports companies, a lot of the pricing on those really just goes into how much embroidery is on the hat, where it's located, and how many spots it's located. But when it comes to the construction of those hats, it's usually just a cotton, poly, nylon, maybe a combination of those materials, but it really is a little bit more basic materials and basic constructions. Even when it comes to the brims, those can be a little bit more basic plastics or even closer to like a cardboard material that can break down over time. But when it comes to Melin, they really have taken the entire hat and redesigned it from the ground up. They took every single piece of the hat and they figured out what makes it break down, and also what can we do to actually make it perform and fit better. And when you do grab one of these hats in the store and you pick it up, you can really feel the difference. When you feel the brims, you feel the crown, even with this thinner material in the back, you can actually feel, compared to a lot of other performance hats out there, how this does have a little bit sturdier feel, so you know it's gonna last a little bit longer. Now, when we start to go to a little bit more of the specifics on the materials and we go to the inside of the hat, the first thing we wanna look at is this panel that's in the front part of the crown. So this is made out of a moisture wicking material, which when you do start to sweat, it's going to take that moisture and help get it away from your head so you can help stay a little bit more comfortable. There also is this tiny little pocket on the inside that if you want to fold up some money and stick it in there for safekeeping, you 100% can do that. And then on the sweatband itself, this is a triple quilted material that if you actually grab it and squeeze it a little bit, it really has kind of like a spongy feel to it, and you know that that is going to soak up your sweat really well. And then beyond that, being antimicrobial, the two important things about that is that if you are somebody that sweats a lot, you know that your hats can get a little bit stinky the more you wear those things and the more active you are and the more you sweat in them. And then if you are somebody who has sensitive skin and you tend to get acne across the top of your head where that sweatband is, that antimicrobial coating is really going to help combat that as well. And then when we move to the outside of the hat, you're looking at a little bit more of a poly stretch material, but it's not crazy stretchy. Again, they want to make it a little bit thicker so it lasts longer and it has more durability, but they still have a little bit of that stretch. So when you do tighten these things up on your head, it's going to feel extra comfortable. And then when you're looking at these back panels, you'll notice all these laser perforated holes. So this is going to help the hat breathe a little bit more, help your head breathe a little bit more. So that way the inner material on the lining and that sweatband are actually going to have to work a little bit less because you're not getting super swampy inside the hat in general. And then another good thing to note on the outside of the hat is that it does have a hydrophobic coating. So this is something that is going to repel water. It's also going to help to repel sweat. So if you are, again, somebody that sweats a lot, you're not going to be getting that super sweaty outside of the hat and that salty line as easily. And then in addition to obviously repelling that liquid, it's also going to help to repel that dirt. So it's going to help keep your hat a little bit cleaner. But if it does start to get a little bit dirty, these things are super easy to hand wash. Get right back to that crispy new hat look. And then when we go back to the fit on these things, we're going to look at the snapback. So this is not just your normal snapback. It works like a standard snapback on most snapback hats, but they went to the diving watch industry to find the materials. So this snapback is the same material that you're going to see on a lot of dive watches. Now, why that's important is that those plastics, they can break down over time. They can get a little bit brittle. Obviously, if you're somebody that snaps these things on and off a lot, if you'd like to wear your hat a little bit looser when you're just chilling, and then you like to tighten it down when you're getting into those more athletic and getting into those activities where you don't want the hat flying off as much, you know that when you unsnap and snap these things a lot, those plastic materials can break down, and sometimes those little dots, those little connectors, they can break off of the hat. And with this material, obviously when you're looking at diving watches, those are not only meant to hold up to a lot of freshwater and saltwater abuse, but they are a little bit stretchier and they're a little bit more comfortable. So by having that little bit stretchier, easier material, when you are pulling these things on and off, it's gonna hold up to that a lot more, and the snapback is gonna last a lot longer durability wise, but then also by having that slight stretch to it, it feels nice and comfortable against the back of your head. And when you do tighten these things down for those days when maybe it's a little bit windier, or you just need to have the hat stay on your head a little bit better, it's gonna stretch and give you a little bit more of a snug fit as opposed to a tight fit from the plastic snapbacks you see on most hats. And then we move around to the last part of the hat. We're looking at the bill, the part of the hat that's not touching your head. This is made out of a material that floats. So they wanted to have something that was, one, durable and it's gonna last a long time, but most importantly, if you are doing something where you're around the water, whether you're inside of the boat or maybe you're out fishing and you're actually getting into the water, you're gonna have a bill that if it does fall off of your head and lands in the water, you're not gonna lose it. Also, by having it made out of a material that doesn't soak up the water, not only does it aid in the flotation, but it's something that's gonna make the bill last longer. When you get into some of those cheaper materials, they can soak up the water, not just from the outside, but also from the inside, from your sweat. Those brims can break down over time and get a little bit floppy, which really does affect not only the durability and the longevity of the hat, but also can affect fit of the hat as well. And then the last part, which is kind of a signature piece on a lot of the Melin hats, it's this little rubber stamp that's underneath the brim. So the cool thing about this is that it's not there just to be like, hey, this is our hat, and you can notice it on just about any of the hats, which is a nice feature for them, but this actually does serve a purpose. So this is a rubber stamp for when you grab your hat and you take it off. Now, a lot of us don't realize that when we take our hats off, we do it a lot more than we think. We take the hat off, we adjust our hair, we might take the hat off and wipe the sweat off of our brow, or you need to take it off so you can get into some tight quarters and the brim might be in the way. But when you do take that hat off, Melin has found that most people are gonna grab it with their right hand, you're gonna grab it with your thumb, and you're gonna grab it with the side of your fingers. So that is there to keep the hat from not only getting dirty, but it also gives you a little bit of a grip. Most of the time when you grab the hat and your hand is a little bit dirty, it's the palm of your hand and fingers that get dirty, not so much the side of their finger. That's why there's nothing on top. Most people don't really grab their hats like this. They usually grab it again with the thumb, the dirty part on the bottom of the brim, and you grab it with the side of the finger on the top. So take a look at some of your old hats and you might notice if it's something you've had for a long time, and if you do things where your hands get dirty, you might notice that this is a little extra dirty and it might even be a little bit worn out. Just another feature that Melin adds to their hats to help last a little bit longer and actually keep it clean underneath the bill there. So you really can see that Melin does make a superior hat. They are taking everything from the bottom of the hat to the top of the hat, the inside to the outside, and they're making it out of better materials, things that are gonna perform better, they're gonna sit on your head better, they're gonna fit better, and they're gonna last longer. You're really just going to want to get a bunch of different versions of these hats. Check out all the different fits. They do have different hats for different styles and for different activities, but you do know that no matter which one you have, when you pick it up in the store, you can feel a huge difference. You can feel the quality, you can feel the sturdiness. You really feel that comfort when you put it on your head, and you know that it's going to last you for years and years. And outside of wearing these things casually, you really can see that when you do spend that extra money, you are getting more out of your hat. And if you kind of think about all the gear you have for doing the active things that you do, all that stuff has a lot of technology to make it better. There's no reason that your hat shouldn't have that as well.